Welcome to the AI Hustle Podcast, the podcast where we break down the latest in AI news, tools, and interview experts helping you hustle and do more using AI. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, MidJourney, and 11 Labs. Eventually will integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. The first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that essentially there's a bunch of people that have been kind of showing off what Inpainting is. This is something that has been announced by MidJourney a while ago. They had a bunch of different features, but this is literally live on their Discord server now when you are generating images. For those that don't know, to generate images on MidJourney, right now you got to go on their Discord server and join it. So how this thing works, I recently watched a really interesting video breaking down exactly kind of how this works, but essentially the guy, he uploaded an image that he had generated, or what you can do is you can start from scratch. You can prompt it with your prompt, say, hey, generate me an image of like a dog wearing a crown. It generates the image. You then have to upscale the image. So image upscaling it, right? That means that you're going to increase the quality. Usually when you give a prompt and say like to generate an image, it's going to give you 4 variations, 4 options to choose from. So you pick the one you like the most, you upscale it. So you increase the quality pretty much. Once you have, and this is important because you can't do inpainting unless you have an upscaled image. So once you have increased the quality, you're going to click on a button called Vary Region. What it's going to do is going to open up the picture of the image, and it allows you to essentially select an area on the image. So for this one, he had a dog with a crown. He selected the crown on top of the dog's head, and then there is a text box that's going to pop up, and you type into that box whatever you want to be filled into that area. So in this case, he said a flower, like a purple flower crown or something like that, and it essentially he clicked generate, and it did this. Now, there are some massive implications that I see for this in all sorts of industries beyond just putting a flower crown on top of a dog. So the first one I can think of is interior design. I've worked with a number of interior design companies and, furniture companies that are kind of looking at ways to integrate AI. I see this as a massive thing. Construction is going to be big as well. But like imagine interior design, you have or a furniture company, right? Let's say they have a couch that they really want to sell and they want to create social media posts for it. Well, it's kind of hard you can't really use AI to really help you automate that process because you have a very specific SKU of couch or whatever. But in this scenario, you could upload a picture of your couch, select everything around the couch, and then just say like, create a super trendy home for this couch to be in. And all of a sudden it generates that. Or maybe you're selling, some sort of home decor on the wall, and you get a picture with like your painting on it, and then you select the rest of the room and say, create a bunch of trendy furniture. So you can kind of go either way with this. I think this is going to be big for architecture. I think this is going to be big for construction. You could you've seen like all those AI, those like generated images essentially where they're like, they have like the building that they're going to build, and then they have like all this like generated stuff around it, like people walking on the street and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that'd be perfect for a use case like this, where essentially you stick in the construction project you're working on, the picture of the image, you select all around it and say like, make a really suburban, upbeat, positive looking community with coffee shops and whatever. And it all of a sudden generates this whole world all around this building that you've constructed. So there are so many incredible use cases for this. I think it's really interesting, but I wanted to go over on X, I saw a guy named _Boris_, and he came up with 11 different examples of things you can use it for. So one person, and so yeah, I'll just run through these really quick in case this can give you guys some ideas of things that this new Inpainting feature can do. So the first one is essentially someone used it to get a picture of a house with one car in front of it, and they selected it and they can change it out for any car, right? So this is kind of interesting. Like imagine if you were a car dealership and you sold, like you got a new shipment of car in, you could get your car and build, like you could essentially get an image of this car on top of a mountain or in any location. Or you could have a picture of your dealership and you could get an infill of any car that you want, a Jeep or a Ford or whatever, in front of your dealership. That's a very interesting option. Another one is people have been using it to essentially give a person new clothing. So for like fashion designers, coming up with fresh clothing ideas before they even start designing is really impressive. I saw a use case where essentially there was a woman and they selected her and like they just put like 10 different outfits on her. There was like a dress and like a jogger and like a fireman's suit, like all sorts of things. So really, really interesting. Or, I'm sure people can try on outfits, make it easier for people to try on outfits with this. Of course, the one I mentioned before, doing interior design, there was a bunch of different people that did a really creative take where essentially they had a picture of a living room and there's a picture on the wall and they changed what was on the picture in that wall. So they have one where it's kind of like an abstract and one where it's like this checkered painting. And it's interesting because all the paintings are the Empire State Building, but they're in like 4 different like variations of that. So I thought that was really interesting. If you want to get like a piece of artwork, you could see what that piece of artwork would look like on your wall or what different styles of artwork would look like on your wall. Then, of course, there's the one where I think brand creatives are going to absolutely love it. But essentially, there's a picture of a girl sitting on a bench in a room, and they were able to put all sorts of things around her. So they had like a plant on the side and a really fancy lamp and like a clothing rack. But now imagine if you're a company and you sell any product, you can go to a photo shoot without your product and get your product inpainted in all around in all sorts of different ways. Really, really creative. Another one is the ability to change more than one portion of an image at the same time in this, right? So someone made a couple examples. In the first one, they made a row of Granny Smith apples, but they actually, they really, in reality, wanted an A-B pattern of apples and oranges. So when they used the Inpainting brush, they selected 3 apples to change, and they altered the prompt to just orange, and all of a sudden, all 3 of the apples they changed turned into oranges. So like, it's interesting because you can do a whole bunch of different objects within the same thing. Now, they did 2 examples. That was the first one. The second one, they had a bunch of chairs that were in a painting, but they thought maybe they would look better pink. So again, they selected the area around all of the chairs in the picture and changed the prompt to pink. And then just like that, the different chairs, which are completely different styles of chairs, turned into pink chairs, which is really, really interesting. So I think, of course, multiple areas at once is super, super cool. There are all sorts of really incredible use cases that I'm starting to see from this new Inpainting tool. So let me know, follow me on Twitter at Jaden_AI, or I guess X, and tweet at me if you see any really interesting use cases of Inpainting, or if you're working on anything. I'd love to see them. But this is an interesting area that I think is going to spur a lot of really cool innovation in art and in AI-generated images. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Hustle podcast. If you could do us a massive favor, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. This helps people find the podcast. It helps people know this is a good place to go. And we would really, really appreciate it, as it helps us continue to bring on incredible guests and share incredible content for you to listen to.